at basically acid-base titration. If you remember in one of the videos that we have in our channel, we said we are equally going to focus on basically chemistry practicals, both acid-base titration and salt analysis. So today we want to consider precautions in carrying out acid-base titration. A lot of chemistry students ordinarily default when it comes to following precaution when you want to carry out acid-base titration. That is why we deem it fit to bring up this topic so that chemistry students will know that it's very important that they know the precautions that you need to follow when you want to carry out acid-base titration. If you are able to do all of this, no doubt you come out excellently in chemistry, right? Then probably WAEC or NECO. So to save time, we are going to consider a few precautions. The first one we have here is state the size of the pipettes. State the size of the pipette. And if you take note too, you are seeing the volume, the unit of the volume there. So which means it is very, very important that when you state the size of the pipette you are given, you must include the units, just like what you can see here. We are assuming this is the size of the pipette that we'll be using. The volume of pipette used, which is 25.00 cubic centimeters. So always put the units. And the second precaution is tabulate the burette readings and calculate the average volume of acid used from at least 2 titer values that are within 0.20 cubic centimeter. This is another area that we need to explain extensively, because we equally notice that some chemistry students ordinarily default to this area. Now let me quickly explain this second precaution. Now we are asked to tabulate the burette readings. That is what you are seeing here on the board. This is an example of the table of the burette reading. And from this table, you can see burette readings, and it has been stated in cubic centimeter, telling us that this is the unit. Then we have final reading, initial reading, and volume of acid used. Ordinarily, when you are titrating, you need to titrate 3 times. That is why we have first titer value, second titer value, and third titer value. But coming back to this second precaution, you know, we are told here that after tabulating the burette readings, we want to also calculate the average volume of acid used from at least 2 titer values that are within 0.20 cubic centimeter. This is what I want to explain. Please take note of that. And let's go back to the table. Volume of acid used. Now, if you take note here, we have 3 titers values. The volume of acid used. We have 25.60, 23.30, and 23.20. Now, between these 3 volume of acid used, we need just 2 of them. Now, how do you know which 2 you are going to pick out from these 3? That is where this figure comes in. You need to pick out 2 numbers, which means you are going to subtract 1 from the other. So which means when you subtract 1 titer value from the other, and the answer you arrive at is 0.20, which means you are going to make use of those two values. But if along the line, after subtracting one of the theta values from the other, that is the volume of acid used now from the other, and your answer is above 0.20, probably the answer you got is 0.30. But in some case, you just have 0.3. When you have 0.3, you must add 0 to it. So which means 0.30 is higher than 0.20. In that case, you are not making use of those theta values. So going by this example here, let's quickly check these three theta values or volume of acid used. Now first we want to subtract 23.30 from 25.60. Let's see the answer that we are going to get. If it's going to give us 0.20 or above. 25.60 minus 23.30. As for this first value, we subtracted 23.30 from 25.60. The answer I got here is 2.30. Now when you check 2.30 and 0.20, it shows that 2.3 is higher than this, so which means you are not making use of these two volume of acid use. Now what do we do next? We equally check this. Obviously, when we subtract this from this and our answer is this, it means when we subtract this from these two, we are still going to have a number that is higher than 0.20. So in that case, let's just subtract 23.20 from 23.30. Let's see the answer that we're going to get. 23.30 minus 23.20. The answer I got here is 0.10. Now let's check. 0.10 and 0.20. Which one is bigger? 0.20. So which means this is correct. We are making use of these two numbers. So that means that we want to calculate the average volume of acid used. We are going by this table now, we are going to make use of these two numbers, not this and this, or this and this. It's going to be this and this. So that is what is meant by saying that you should get two theta values that are within 0.20. Now let's proceed to the third precaution in carrying out acid-base titration. The third precaution that we have here is the unit of the volume should not be omitted. Please take note of that. The unit of the volume should not be omitted. So when we start our acid-base titration practical, we start the practical, we are going to follow these precautions. Well, I believe when I do the video on acid-base titration practical, you are going to understand what I've been explaining here on this one. But please take note, the unit of the volume should not be omitted. What I'm simply what I'm trying to say is this: like if you look at the volume of pipette used here, I didn't just write 25.00. If you notice, it has a unit, cubic centimeter. So this is what we are trying to say. Always impute the units when you are calculating, so that you have accuracy in your calculation. In our previous explanation of precautions in carrying out acid-base titration, I explained 3 precautions. Now in this video, I want to explain further. Now going to number 4 precautions that we need to take note when we are carrying out acid-base titration is burette readings must be consistent. Please take note of that. It should be in 2 decimal places. Now what does this mean? What? Please look at this table. Let's come back to this table. Now, if you look at this table very well, do you think the values, the title values in this table, are they consistent? Now let's check. For the first title value under the final reading, we have 25.60. The second title value we have 32.30, and for the third we have 28.2. So which means the numbers are not consistent. How do we know? This is in 2 decimal places. This is also in 2 decimal places. But we take note of this third title value. It's just in 1 decimal place. So in a situation like this, when you leave the title values like this, it is totally wrong. So what you will do is always make sure that the title values are in 2 decimal places. So what you just simply do is to just add 0 to this. Now let's go to the title values in our initial readings. For the first initial reading, we are seeing 0.0. For the second, you are seeing 9, and for the third, you are seeing 5.00, which means they are not consistent too. Take note, we said your title values must be in 2 decimal places. So when you check this first one, this is 0.0. It's not up to 2, it's just in 1 decimal place. So what you do is to add another 0 to it. Then going to the next, which is 9. It is also wrong. So what you will do is put your point and 0, 0. So in this case, the title values are consistent. Now let's go to the volume of acid used. For the first title value, we have 25.60. The second is 23.3, and the third is 23.20. Did you notice that the values there, they are not consistent? Yes. Look at this, we have 23.3. So what you simply do is you add 0 to it. Now what is the point? The point is, as a chemistry student, when you are tabulating your burette readings and you want to, after the titration, make sure that you go back to cross-check all the titles values. All must be in 2 decimal places. So that is the consistency that we are talking about. So that is what precaution 4 is simply trying to tell us. Now let's proceed to the next precaution. Precaution 5 says it should not be read to the nearest whole number. A burette reading of 23 cubic centimeter exactly is wrong. 23.00 cubic centimeter or 24.40 cubic centimeter or 26.02 cubic centimeter are correct. Now what does this precaution 5 mean? It means that, please, let's go back to the table. Now this 25.60, we subtracted 0.00 from 25.60, and the answer we arrive at is 25.60. So what that precaution 5 is saying is this 25.60, as a chemistry student, don't say you want to approximate it to 26.00. It's wrong. Or you want to approximate it to just 25 cubic centimeter. It's wrong. So just leave it the way it is. So that is what that precaution 5 is trying to tell us. Now let's proceed to the next precaution. Burette reading should not go beyond 50.00 cubic centimeter. E.g., if after carrying out the 3 titer values or titration, you are going to titrate 3 times. After carrying out the titration, if the burette reading is beyond 50.00 cubic centimeter, if it is beyond, take note, like probably 50. If you have something like this, it's wrong. If you have something like this, 63.70 cubic centimeter, that is after you are through titrating. In WAEC and NECO, you are going to titrate 3 times. So what I'm saying is, after the 3 titration, after you have titrated 3 times, if your burette reading is above 50.00 cubic centimeter, is wrong. When we are going to carry out acid-base titration, this particular precaution, you are going to have a clearer understanding on that. But please, for now, just take note that after titrating 3 times, after you have gotten 3 titers values, your burette reading must not go beyond 50.00 cubic centimeter. Now let's move to the next one. Precaution number 7. Avoid arithmetical errors. So it means when you are calculating in your practical, your acid-based titration practical, as a chemistry student, you need to be very careful. In fact, try not to make any error. So that is what this precaution is trying to tell you. Avoid arithmetical errors. If you have time, you can still go back to cross-check your calculation. Go back to the burette reading, the table, and check all those titer values if they are accurate. Then lastly, calculate the average volume of acid used from at least 2 consistent titers. I explained this previously in the previous video I did. Those first 3 precautions I gave you. Now I want to assume we are using this table. Now what this precaution number 8 is saying is, calculate the average volume of acid used from at least 2 consistent titers. So from this volume of acid used, from these 3 titer values, the 2 consistent titers that we have are 23.30 and 23.20. I did that previously. So we are bringing out these 2. We cannot use this and this, if you notice from that explanation. So I want to calculate the average volume of acid used. Volume of acid used becomes 23.30 plus 23.20 divided by 2. Because there are 2, 1, 2, so we divide it by 2. Let's see the answer. 23.30 plus 23.20 will give us 46.50 divided by 2 is equal to 23.25. Please, when you are calculating the average volume of acid used, always take notes. Once you arrive at the answer, the unit of volume is what? Always put the units to your answer. The unit of volume is cubic centimeter. So in our next video, we are going to follow each of these precautions that we have considered. And I believe if you are able to follow these precautions in your practical, chemistry practical acid-based titration, no doubt you come out in flying colors. So please, may you tell your friends, tell people around you to please watch this video. They should click our link, watch this channel, and when it's time for us to upload acid-base titration practical, you can also do well to watch the video. Please subscribe to our channel.